Safe. 10 years ago, a stranger came up to me on the street and sold me a book that was talking about slaughterhouses and basically made me question the food that I was putting in my body, and it made me question about the toxins in me. It made me question about like whether it was right or wrong to kill animals. And so since then, I've learned a little bit about where our food comes from, and now I don't consume animal products because I think it's weird. I think it's weird that animals will have to die. In most cases, will have to die so that I can eat something. Basically, the British Dietetics Association, the American Dietetics Association, the Academy for Nutrition and Dietetics, and the NHS, all four of those groups say that you can be a healthy human being just on plants, so as a vegan. And so that now there is no biological need to eat animals. And so for me, it doesn't make any sense to do it. And recently I've been thinking about the term paradox, and I'm going to read you the definition of paradox now. It goes like this. Paradox: a statement or proposition which, despite sound or apparently sound reasoning from accepted premises, leads to a conclusion that seems logically unacceptable or self-contradictory. So an example of this would be humane slaughter. From the outside, it looks like it's comfortable and it's a nicer way of doing things, but actually the fact that it has the word slaughter in there, for me there's nothing humane about slaughtering an animal. As I said, we don't need it, so it becomes this paradox, this strange paradox. And another paradox which I personally used to live is that I used to think that I could love animals and at the same time I would eat them. This links deeply into carnism, so if you haven't heard of carnism, check it out. It's the concept and the idea behind it is done by Melanie. She does a lot of amazing work around that concept, so please look her up.
Imagine that you're a guest at a dinner party and your host serves you a dish that looks like this. Consider whether you'd find this delicious or disgusting. For those who would find it delicious, imagine you find it so delicious that you ask your host for the recipe. And she replies that the secret is in the meat. You use 3 pounds of well-seasoned golden retriever.
And the paradox that I was living is that I was concerned about the fluffy animals that I was letting into my house, the animals that I was forming bonds with, that I was caring, that I was making sure wouldn't be hurt. I was concerned about them if they injured themselves. But at the same time, I was going to fast food chains like KFC and McDonald's and eating other animals who had the most horrific lives in factory farms, and their lives had been ended really young. And so I was living this paradox. And in the UK, we call ourselves a nation of animal lovers, but actually we are not really animal lovers, we are pet lovers if we still eat animal products, because you can't pay people to stab and to gas and to put into grinders different animals and call that love. It's not. We have been conditioned really hard. We've been brainwashed into thinking that we can be animal lovers. People are genuinely nice people, but the brainwashing and the conditioning has hit so hard that people just come up with these lies and excuses when you confront them about what they're doing. And luckily enough for me, I've had lots of conversations with people, and I've heard the same kind of excuses and same kind of like hearsay on a regular basis. So you've got lions, but lions sniff each other's bums, they don't wear any clothes, and why are we replicating just the lions? Why aren't we replicating the zebras or the antelope or the rhinos, all those other herbivorous animals? It's not a very good argument. You've got, what else is the common one? Protein. You can only get protein from meat. You won't be healthy as a vegan, but you can be a healthy vegan. If you do it properly, you can be a healthy vegan. You can be an unhealthy vegan, but you can also be an unhealthy meat eater. And a lot of people have said, oh, what about this nutrient or what about this nutrient? But they still smoke and they still drink alcohol. So I don't think they're truly concerned with health. If they really were, then they probably wouldn't drink and smoke. I think they are concerned with the fact that you're doing something that they're not, and that could be a reason why they're bringing up about health. But if you're truly interested in health and concerned about health, you shouldn't drink or smoke. I've been to a few vigils. So for those that don't know, a vigil is where you go and bear witness to animals before they go into a slaughterhouse. And the most recent one I went to Bristol, and in Bristol they gassed the pigs. It was a really hot day, like really scorching. We were up quite early, about 6 o'clock in the morning, to drive up there, and it was it was a blisteringly hot day. And luckily I had loads of water so I could take a rest, sit in the shade. But these animals, these pigs, were carried on huge metal, so metal heats up as well with the sun. These hot trucks, they're also crammed in as well, so you know what I mean? So when you're close to other humans in a lift or in a car, you get hotter because of body heat and stuff like that. And these animals didn't have any water. It was so busy at that slaughterhouse that day that the slaughterhouse trucks had to wait in a line, in a queue. So these pigs had to wait in a queue while other members of their species were being gassed in front of them. They were hot, sweaty, probably dehydrated, and the next step for them was to be gassed. And I've heard a lot of weird sounds, and nothing has come close to hearing a pig screaming out for its life. I'm going to play a short clip of what I heard that day, so you can make up your own opinion of what you feel about it.
We're currently in Bristol at Tulip Meats, which is a pig slaughterhouse. And a lot of people aren't aware that the most humane way to kill a pig in the UK and in a lot of parts of the world actually is by putting them into a gas chamber. Where basically they go into a carousel style unit and they're lowered into dense CO2 gas, where basically they'll then burn from the inside. We're just going to take a minute or so just to kind of be quiet and see if we can kind of pick up some of these sounds for you, so you can really hear the kind of, the agony and the suffering that these pigs go through, and ask yourself whether you think this is humane.
I think it's really weird and insane to be doing this to animals, to put them through this, to kill them really young. It really doesn't align with who I am, and I know there are a lot of people out there who it doesn't align with. When they think of gas chambers and pigs, it will make them feel uncomfortable, but they haven't quite made that extra step to live their true feelings. They are compassionate, they are loving, but they just haven't got round to it, or they're making up excuses, or there's other reasons that they might bring up, but essentially they should. And I should have a long time aligned my actions with my true beliefs and treated animals a little bit like how I would want to be treated. So with love, with compassion, not putting them into a gas chamber. And veganism as a whole has come a long way. It's nearly 7 years since I started being a vegan, and There was a few options out there. There was vegan cheeses, there was vegan options, but now it's never been easier. And an example is I used to just like eating cheap cheese, and now we have these, which is Violife's own cheap cheese. It tastes really good. I like it. Some people are like, oh, how can you eat that? How can you eat that? But like, for me, I enjoy it. It may not be as healthy as eating some lentils or some cheap brown rice. No, that's not brown rice, that's oats. I've got brown rice over there. It may not be as cheap as those things, and it may not be as healthy, but I really like it. And that's fine. No one has to like the same vegan cheeses as I do. But we have these options. We can just go, instead of eating cow milk cheese, just eat plant cheese instead. There are so many other options out there as well. You've got plant milks, off the top of my head, you've got coconut milk, oat milk, rice milk, soya milk, almond milk, hemp milk. You can even make tahini milk real quick. I'm going to drop in a video by the Vegan Activist, a really awesome video about how to make your own vegan cheeses, vegan milks. So I'm distracted by the vegan cheese.
There are a lot of plant-based milks available at varying prices with different flavours, but they can all be made at home with everyday ingredients and equipment. I've been making homemade vegan milks for the last couple of years and they taste just as good as commercial milks.
Genuinely, this tastes good. And if you try this, you're like, oh, it looks good, you buy it, and you're like, I don't like it, that's fine. Just buy another one, buy another plant one, definitely. Don't buy the ones that have come from cows' milk. Because the harsh reality of where cow's milk comes from is that there's a few processes that no one really thinks about, that no one wants to, but they should. I'm just going to finish this. Wants to think about the dairy industry and where cow cheese comes from. First step, you have to get a female cow. How does she produce milk? Well, she has to be pregnant. So already it's getting a bit weird. You've got to make an animal pregnant. And you've got two common ways. You get a bull who is they're called a stud. And they come in and they impregnate the cows. And then she's pregnant. But the other way, the other more weird and sinister way, is that we take bull semen, so you've got to tug off a bull, and his semen is then stored, quite often frozen, and then it is taken to different farms where they'll get a cow, and they'll take the bull semen, and they'll use this rod. It's long, it's like a syringe, a jizz syringe. And the syringe they have to use their arm, and they put their arm into the cow's vagina. And sometimes they have to guide the syringe in by putting their hand into the cow's anus. And so syringe, arm into the anus, you move the syringe around so you can get the semen to go right up into the cow so she can be pregnant. And for me, that is sexual violation. Human beings don't need to drink cow's milk. Human beings should not put their arms into a cow's anus. They should not be tugging off a bull, and they should not be putting their arms and hands into a cow's vagina. So that's one part. The female cow. She might be in shock. She might not have wanted to have sex. As humans, we talk about consent a lot and stuff like that. the female cow might not have wanted to have sex. Think about that. Either with a bull or either with the artificial insemination. She's had that against her will. And I can't imagine what that would be like. I think that would be pretty horrific. You've got this baby growing inside you, but you didn't want it. It was against your will. And then a few months later, I think it's about 9 months, a baby pops out, a baby calf. And I can't imagine what a mother and baby's bond is really like. I'm not a mother, but I do, from the females that I know, how close they are to their children when they've come out. How they have this special bond that only a mother would really know. And so they have this bond, this being comes out of them. And then after a couple of days, usually, the baby is taken away. And these mothers, these female cows, shout after their calves. They whine, they scream, and they don't want it to happen. They are their children, but they are taken away. And the reason they are taken away is because we want the milk. We don't need it. It's been proven many times that we don't need the milk. It's because we want it. It comes down to supply and demand. If we create the demand for cow's milk, it will carry on happening. But as a consumer, if we demand plant milks, we demand plant products, we demand products that haven't come from gas chambers, we demand products that haven't involved sexual exploitation of animals, we as the customers change the demand. I haven't done one of these for a while, but if you feel that you want me to do more of these, let me know and I'll make it happen. I highly recommend that those that have never been outside a slaughterhouse and have never seen the animals going in, whatever your current lifestyle diet choice is, please go there. It's really simple. You can drive to Columpton and go to Two Sisters slaughterhouse. I think in the past I would have had like a lot of anger towards the people who work in slaughterhouses, but actually that's not constructive, and it's better to treat them like humans and have this like civil conversation instead of creating this like us and them mentality that I think I created in the past. But my original point is that if you've never been to a slaughterhouse and witnessed animals before they're going to be killed, I definitely do it, because I won't forget the thousands of animals that I've seen, the different eyes, the different individuals, the dead ones that I've seen before they've gone in, the ones that have been scarred, the ones that have got tumours, the ones that are in pain, the ones that have been crammed on trucks, the ones that are in the sun. And the ones that are hearing the gassing of their fellow species, other animals just like them, crying out for their lives. And I think that people should go and see that, and especially those that still consume those products, because you are part of that system and you can make an honest decision on what you're doing. At the moment, we're looking at it like when I used to still consume animal products. I'd never seen or heard an animal going into a gas chamber. But I should have, while I'm paying for these things to happen, the least I can do is learn about the process. And learn about the fact that you don't need it. There's no nutritional need. So then it becomes a question of morality, a question of right and wrong. Do I want to be part of a system that gasses animals, that grinds up baby chicks in the egg industry? Or do I want to support a more compassionate lifestyle where the food that I eat is plants instead of animals? And as I said, it's never been easier. I've got my cheap cheese, and I've also got quite a lot of popcorn. I eat a lot of snacky food, popcorn and stuff like that. And there's just so many options now. There's mock meats, there's mock kebabs, there's mock burgers, there's mock sausages, there's vegan ice cream. There's pretty much a vegan version for everything you need. Not necessarily healthy. I'm not saying it is healthy, but that's not the point. You can have healthy vegan diets as well. If you eat a lot of whole grains, a lot of whole foods, so food in their original form, so all of a cucumber or lettuce, spinach, vegetables, nuts, seeds, potatoes, sweet potatoes, pastas, rice, noodles. Like the less refined, usually the healthier. But veganism doesn't have to be about health. It's great, it's good, you'll live longer. But combine that with ethics, not paying people to stab animals, not paying people to gas animals, not paying people to sexually violate animals, for essentially a taste or a flavour. When we weigh it up, it kind of becomes a no-brainer. It's not really a big debate. It's not really a big decision. We have a more compassionate way of living. We just have to motivate ourselves and do it. If anybody ever wants a lift to a slaughterhouse, whatever current diet you have, I will drive you there. And you can see for yourself what is happening in the world, and you can make up your own decision if you want to continue to pay other people to do this to individuals or not. And if I can help you in any way transition, help you do a month of no dairy, give you some recipes, then hit me up whenever you need. But I suppose it comes down to us as individuals, really. It's kind of like we have to live with ourselves. And for me, it's logical. Killing animals is weird. I would not want somebody to kill me for a sandwich. I would not want somebody to impregnate my mum and then kill me after a couple of days and then milk her. When there was another option, when they didn't have to do it, when if I was a male chick, I would not want somebody to put me in a grinder after a couple of days or suffocate me to death in a big plastic bag because somebody wanted to eat eggs. When there was another option, there was an egg replacer, there was tofu that they could turn into an egg. And I'm making this video because I needed to know this information 10 years ago. And now we have way more resources, we have way more options for people to use. And so, yeah, I'm now saying it, I'm now putting it out there, I'm now making people question what they do because it doesn't make any sense. I mean in the sense that if you want to be a true animal lover, don't eat animal products. Until that point, when you give up all animal products, you're a pet lover. And I've said it before, if anybody wants to have a discussion about that, that's cool. I'm happy to talk it out, and I'm not going to be like, no, I'm not listening. I'll listen to what you're saying and we can debate it. But right today, there is no argument. There is no justification for what we're doing to animals. There is no reason. You just can't, for me, you just can't do it. You can't say I'm an animal lover and eat animal products, because what we're doing is we're directly harming those animals. The money that we pay for those products is harming the animals. And I suppose I'll bring it back to how I started. I started about the paradox that we in the UK are living when we say that we're animal lovers, but we eat animals. We say that this is a good example. I used to buy free-range eggs because I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought that the idea of hens being put into battery cages, and oh my God, that's so sad. I wouldn't want to inflict that on them. I'm gonna buy free-range eggs because that is a better thing to do. That's a nicer thing. Those hens are gonna have a nice life. I was deluded. I was in my own. I was uneducated because I didn't think about the other extras that come with it. Yes, they're free range, but they're still killed after a couple of years, the egg-laying hens. Yes, they're free range, but the males are killed after a couple of days because they don't lay eggs and they're not profitable enough, and they're quite aggressive cockerels. So the egg industry goes, going to kill them after a couple of days. So battery farming is worse in some respects than free range, that the free range animals get more space, but do they really? They might have access to space, but can they get there if they're in a barn full of 10,000 other hens? How does the organic free range hen that's at this side of the barn get to the other side of the barn when there's 10,000 other individuals in the way, some of them dead, maybe. And this side is where the door is. There's a door over here. So just imagine you've got to work your way through 10,000 other individuals. Some of them don't want to move. And then you get to the outside. And there is a lot of footage of free-range hens that aren't living in good conditions. But essentially what we're doing is we're putting these labels. We put these labels out there. We've got humane, we've got free-range, we've got local, we've got organic, we've got grass-fed. All of those are just marketing terms, really. There are varying degrees of what's better, but all of them exploit animals. All of them are using animals for human benefit when humans don't need to. In the UK, we definitely don't need to use animals. I thought I was doing the right thing by buying free-range eggs, but I wasn't doing enough. But I just needed to be told that, what about the male hens? And at that point, it would have planted a seed in my head, and I would have thought, actually, yeah, that's not right to put the male chicks into a grinder. Here's another option: egg replacer, scrambled tofu, or no eggs at all. Just don't eat eggs. Replace them and eat avocados on toast instead, or tomatoes on toast, Marmite on toast, or vegan cheese on toast. You don't have to eat animal products. You can choose something else. But for those that want to still have the familiarity, then there is the tofu. But I didn't know that at the time, and we all need a little nudge. We all need to have a little nudge and be like, actually, the free-range, cage-free hens still don't have a great life. A great life would be not to be killed. A great life would not be to be used as an egg producer. You know what I mean? You're like a robot. You're pumping out eggs your whole life while your brother's been killed, and you probably never met your parents. It's like we need to think about things further afield, outside the box, a little bit more. Did this bacon arrive on my plate was it gassed first? Was it, how old was the pig that got killed? Was the pig female? What did the pig want from its life? Is it worth this taste? Is it worth the whole of that animal's life when I have a replacement that pretty much tastes the same? Is it worth it? For me, it's no. No, there's no argument. Bacon is not worth more than the pig's life. Bacon tastes nice for those short moments that it's on my lips, but the animal's life is way more important, way more significant than touching my taste buds with some flavours that's only going to last a few moments, really. So I've touched on a few topics, and hopefully I've talked about some things that are helpful to people. And what I'll do is I'll finish up now with the statement paradox, which I started with, so highlighting some of the topics I was talking about today. But in your own lives, try and look for the paradoxes that other people are living, or you might be living yourself but haven't really questioned enough. So are you really an animal lover? Are you is there really such a thing as humane slaughter? Does the taste of bacon, is it worth putting a pig into a gas chamber? All these things are questions that we need to ask ourselves. And this is what the definition of the word paradox means. A statement or proposition which, despite sound or apparently sound reasoning from accepted premises, leads to a conclusion that seems logically unacceptable or self-contradictory. And I'm gonna just now eat some more cheese, and I hope you have a nice life, and safe, 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 safe.